what was in my mind when I was doing the project, because we started with hot pepper,
Mm.
was to create a hot pepper pyramid during the
What's that?
harvest.
What is a hot
Okay.
pepper pyramid?
So like growing up in Nigeria, if you look at the agricultural history of Nigeria, we used to have granite pyramids in Nigeria.
Yes,
You
yes,
remember?
yes, yes, yes. I
Yes,
remember
granite
in the
pyramids
north. Yes, I
in the
remember.
north.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. So that was my vision
Okay.
for the hot pepper.
Mm.
I wanted it to be so much that I could create a hot pepper pyramid. That's why you see in the photos we try to heap the pepper to make a pyramid. but
I've
but
seen
we
that, yeah.
yeah we couldn't quite achieve that because it kept falling on the side and all that. So yeah, so the project I wanted it to be
Hello, everyone, and welcome to my podcast today, The K Touch. I have with me Ikenna Unachukwu. This is someone who I have known for over a decade right now. First time I met Ikenna was sometime in 2010. And I don't know if he even remembers, but I've known him for that long. Because Ikenna is the CEO of Organic Veggie Vibes. He's going to be telling me about the journey and how he's come this far and what the future lies for Organic Veggie Vibes. Ikenna, welcome to my podcast.
Thank you so much. Okay, thank you for having me. Yeah, it's been a pleasure.
Honestly speaking, I keep telling people the pleasure is all mine. In my mind right now, Ikenna, my body is just jumping because I cannot wait for you to really just release all that you've experienced. I can't wait to just pick your brains on a few things. But I'm going to start from the very beginning.
Yes.
Ikenna, please tell us, share with us what Organic Vibes is. Introduce us to this company, Organic Veggie.
Okay. So Organic Veggie Vibes is an organic fruit and vegetable company which is registered in the United Kingdom here. And it caters for wholesale fruit and veg, particularly from Uganda.
Okay.
And it's mainly Ugandan produce being farmed sustainably in Ugandan farms using open farming methods. Open field farming methods. And the whole idea of Organic Veggie Vibe is to bridge the gap between organically grown vegetables in Uganda and the people in the UK having it on their tables. Right. And being a part of, that revolution of organic produce. So that's why I started Organic Veggie Vibes.
How long has it been?
It's been 2 years now. I started it in 2023 after we started our farming project in Uganda. So after we started the farming project in Uganda, I then realized that we need to bring this here to the UK so that people in the UK can also benefit, because I realized that when I showed people the picture of what we are doing in Uganda, everybody was like, oh, please, can we get some of this here? So I decided to start Organic Veggie Vibes to be able to create that link, right? So that people can also, enjoy what we are doing in Uganda.
It's interesting you say about the pictures. I've been watching all your posts on Facebook, and just look, I'm going to share it with the audience so they can see how amazing this project is, and to see the level of green and the quality of produce coming out of this project. It's honestly amazing. So I'm with you on that, and people seeing pictures and just being amazed at the scale of it as well. It's just wonderful. We're going to come at some point to how you manage all of these things, but I want to just first pick your brain. When did you first have the idea? When did you first nurture the idea of this all coming together? Was it that same 2023, or was that some time between when you nurtured it and when it came to?
No, actually, it was in 2022.
Okay.
So on my way back from a trip to Uganda, I met a random person on the same flight with me. And we went into a conversation, and he was coming from Rwanda and I was also coming from Uganda. And yeah, we just talked generally on business. And later on, he rang me and told me that, oh, that there's a farming project to grow hot pepper in Uganda that he wanted to do with his friend.
Lovely.
But his friend has pulled out of the project, and having spoken to me on the plane, he can remember me saying that I am prominent in Uganda, as in I do things in Uganda. So he wanted to know if I would be involved. So he sent me the proposal for the project. I had a look at it, and I decided to do some research on it. And the outcome in terms of the revenue that could be generated from that project was incredible when I checked it. And that really spurred me on. And then I started thinking on how to do it differently, how to do it better, and yeah, that was the journey from there. So it took me about 3 months after receiving the proposal to then plan, strategize, and structure the project and get everybody I needed to work with me on it on ground ready. And before we now went and started it. So 3 months of planning, 3 months of learning, 3 months of, connecting with people.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I love how you even started with the networking aspect and how it is that these little conversations can easily build up into something so great. And I was just going to go also into how easy it was to set up, because this is again, I'll show people the pictures, but it looks so grand and so big. Did you have this vision of how big it was going to be when you started? And then maybe from there you can tell me how easy it was to actually make the networking and learning the language. Well, I just want to start with the picture in your mind. How big do you think it was going to be?
Yeah, so it actually was expecting it to be bigger than what it is right now, to be honest, when I started. Yes, because what was in my mind when I was doing the project, because we started with hot pepper, was to create a hot pepper pyramid during the harvest.
What is a hot pepper pyramid?
So like growing up in Nigeria, if you look at the agricultural history of Nigeria, we used to have groundnut pyramids in Nigeria.
Yes.
You remember?
Yes. I remember.
Groundnut pyramids.
Yes,
in
I
the
remember.
north. Yeah. Exactly. So that was my vision for the hot pepper. I wanted it to be so much that I could create a hot pepper pyramid. That's why you see in the photos we try to hip the pepper to make the pyramid. but we couldn't quite achieve that because it kept falling on the side and all that, So so the project, I wanted it to be that large, and even bigger than that. And that was how I visioned it to be. And also, when I was doing my research for the project, I discovered a lot of things that I felt farmers were not doing, especially local farmers. Like, for example, so I have a book coming out in a few months' time.
Yes!
And,
Good, I love that!
I think you remember I put out a post for people to choose what titles they would like for the book.
Lovely!
Yeah, so along my books is another one that I'm going to put out after this, which is called The Mathematics of Farming. Right. So
it's getting me excited. I love it.
Yeah. So I discovered that when I was doing my research, the mathematics of farming. Nice. So which is using the size of your land to determine your plant population.
Wow.
Right? So now when you use the size of your land to determine your plant population, then you use the average produce each plant can bring out. Right? And then you multiply that by the total number of plant population that you've estimated, right? To get a potential estimated harvest quantity, right? So when you get your potential estimated harvest quantity, then you multiply that by your estimated price per kg of the product to get your estimated potential revenue on your harvest.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
And then after you do that, you now apply what I call a 10% rule, which is the fact that when you plant 1,000 plants, obviously you're not going to get 1,000 plants at the end.
Yeah.
So when you do the maths, then you'll be able to work out how much you are expecting to make from a harvest. Even before you put a single seed down on the ground, you know exactly what you're looking for, what you're aiming, and what you're targeting.
Wow.
You know, so that's what I was able to discover that most farmers do not do. Farmers just go and they plant, and at the end of the day, they're like, "Oh, I've planted maize, I've harvested maize. Now I don't know what to do. Oh, I'm looking for the market, or where can I find people to buy my maize?" No, but from my research, I decided it's better. You know how much you're expecting first, and then you know who is buying your produce before you even plant at all. And that's what I applied to this project that I'm doing right now.
Imagine, that's so amazing. Okay, well, I know the book is not released, but can you give us an inkling of when exactly is it going to be released?
Well, at the moment, we are looking at after Easter.
Okay.
Because I want to really take my time and tailor the book towards what people want solutions for. Rather than just going out and writing a book about my experience, I will, but I want to know. So I am a member of a lot of different farming groups.
Okay.
Right. So those farming groups, I always ask them, what would you guys need help on? What would you guys like to know about more? You understand? So each chapter of the book would be tailored towards solution to farmers and organic farming and the process itself.
And I think what will make this book actually unique is also the fact that my assumption is that the book will be very much useful to local farmers on the ground. So it's not one of the larger than life books that will give you principles that are hard to implement. But it would be something that people on the ground would have access to and would be able to understand and implement.
I've always believed in practicality, and I am a very practical person, and I learn practically. So I want the book to be practical, something that even a 5-year-old will be able to understand, and later on it will be designed into courses that can now be used for farmers, because already I go to Uganda and I have short training with local farmers at the moment.
I've seen
so with this it will be able to tailor it very well into what is easiest for them to understand, and also be translated into their language as well, so they can also understand.
You're getting me excited. I'm not even doing this work and I'm excited. Okay. Let's talk about how easy it was to set up. You've given little insights here and there, but please, can you tell us a bit about language? Have you experienced any language barriers? Did you experience any challenges penetrating the market? Because obviously when it comes to establishing a business, usually unless it's a novel business, there are already people who are doing similar things in these places, and it becomes a challenge to try and penetrate it. But how easy was it for you in terms of this language, making the networks with people, and penetrating the market? If you can share that with us.
Well, okay. As I said to you, I've been doing things in Uganda for a long time, so I have the network in terms of the people, and I created relationship over the years with people that also helped out with the project as well.
Okay.
However, as I said to you, while I was doing the research, I discovered certain things which I implemented. For example, I was in England when I rang exporters in Uganda, telling them about this project and asking them if they would be able to buy when we harvest. So I already got the market before I even started it.
Oh.
Yes, that was the determinant for me. to get the market before I started it. So I'd liaise with certain exporters in Uganda about buying the hot pepper when it's grown. I also asked them if they would be happy to sign an MOU just to convince us that they are going to buy the products. And then I had a business partner of mine who was based in Uganda at the time. He took care of the sourcing of the land. And also the registration of the company that we are using for the farms and all those things. So I did most of the groundwork while I was in the UK. So when we went to Uganda, we just went to sign documents and paperwork to get things ready. So by the time we got to the exporters, they were so thrilled by our project
preparation
initiative, that they gave us their own designated agronomist to work with us on the project for free. And they also paid for all the Ministry of Agriculture inspections and certificates, organic certificates that we ended up getting for the farms. They also paid for it.
See, this is what really amazes me. Okay, it's one of the things that amazes me about your project. The fact that the steps you've taken are calculated. They have an outcome in mind. Because what do I know about farming? I think it's just, you have a land, you plant something, you get something from it, you sell. But you telling us about putting the structures in place as well, so that when the actual farming begins, there's already a process on ground to set it up. So wow, that is totally amazing. Let me ask you a question about the interpersonal skills, because you're a CEO in charge of this thing, and I know apart from having some knowledge about agriculture now that you have, there must be some soft skills that you possess to have made this thing come to pass. Can you share a bit about some of that?
Yeah, so some of the soft skills that I actually have was from previous expertise, like what I told you, what I used to do before agriculture. So mainly dealing with people and understanding the culture of where we are in. So I always tell my friends that if you haven't left Nigeria to go to any other African country, you will think that all African countries are like Nigeria.
Ikenna, you hit it spot on. But continue, I'm going to say a bit about that. That's spot
on. So again, understanding the culture in which you are in is very important in terms of relating with the people that you're dealing with. Right? That's key. Another thing that also helps is understanding the logistics and the movement of how things are supposed to flow. Right? One thing about Uganda that I really, really will put out there is the fact that they are very organized with their administrative work, and they're very sincere and straightforward, So once you are paying for a service, right, you will get that service. You understand? So being able to understand the needs of farm workers, because in farming there's a high turnover of labor. People come and go quickly, So being able to understand that and be ready to replace the labor force as soon as it's lacking is also another very, very important situation. And just understanding people's needs, being empathetic where you need to be. Try not to give out handouts, rather let people deserve and earn what they get. Because again, when you give out handouts, it only makes the situation worse. People believe that you pay people more to buy loyalty. I don't believe that, because the more you pay people, the more they want more. I believe that if you appreciate people more, right, and you tailor them into their own personal development, i.e., sending them for training, and other skills that will benefit them later in future,
Yeah.
you get more loyalty and more engagement from them, because now
Amazing.
you are empowering them for
Yeah.
what next they can do after
Mhm.
your project.
It's building up their skills and their confidence,
Yes,
and that can
confidence.
actually cause the loyalty that you may be misplacing by giving handouts.
Yes.
But you made a very strong point. I know that's not the focus of our conversation, but that point about Nigerians having the impression that the whole of Africa is Nigeria. It's a sentiment that I know a lot of people have, and it's so wrong.
Mm,
And I think one of the reasons is because Nigeria happens to have such a large population. We seem to have a high impact wherever you go to. I used to have a joke with everybody, a running joke. Wherever you go to, you find a Nigerian, and I think it's because of that level of exposure, which could be owed to a number of things. We have a misplaced understanding of
mm,
Africa. And so you are very right. There are different cultures, and
mm.
being able to understand that is really, really important. So thanks for sharing that with us. Um, what would you say, because this is a project that has been going on for a while, what would you say are the most challenging aspects of this work, and possibly the most rewarding aspects?
Right. The most challenging aspect, well, initially, the most challenging aspect of the project in the beginning
Yeah.
was labor.
Okay.
Right. So when I started the project and designed it with my people,
Mm.
I was so excited because I felt that, this project would empower the community.
Yeah.
The young people would be able to work in the farm,
Mm-hmm.
and, it'd be able to add more revenue to the community, and people
Yeah.
will be better off. But then, to my surprise, I found out that most of the young people that came to work in the farm only last about 1 week, 3 days, and
Wow.
they disappear. They didn't want to work on the farm. They didn't
Mm.
want to dig. I mean, they would dig for 3 days, you pay them, and boom, that's it. They're gone,
They're gone. Yeah.
out. So we had to keep employing people to the extent that we had to move to another region
Mm.
to now go and get workers from there to finish the project for us. So that was challenging because it ended up making us slow down
Yeah. Yeah.
the project. It didn't go as fast as we, expected. The
Interesting.
most rewarding part of the project was seeing the first harvest.
I have the
Yes,
pictures of those ones as
yes, yes.
well.
That was the most rewarding aspect of it, seeing the first harvest, because I've never seen so much pepper in my life. If it wasn't for said, I wanted to even go and let them just cover me with the pepper and stuff. But when I thought about the implications, I said, no, it's better I don't do that. Yeah, so that was the most rewarding. Also, another part, you see, I've always been about community, to be honest with you. Like I wrote um I did a write-up yesterday on Facebook, on my Facebook page,
Mm.
and I was talking about family.
Mm.
Right. And I was thinking that, I've always been a person that once I meet people that align with my vision, my goals, they're more like family to me than friends or employees or workers or stuff like that. So seeing the family, which encompasses our farm and our project,
Mm.
benefit from what we were doing was another very big satisfying aspect
Mm.
for me,
Mm.
because I know from a very young age, my dad taught me about the economics of population, the economics of the region in which I live in.
Wow.
So for example, when he was building our house in the village, he decided to use the young men in the village to do the labor work rather than going to bring people from outside.
Yeah.
And he took me along with him to be one of those young men. And we used to line up in a queue and get paid after work every day.
Wow.
So his whole idea, which he communicated with me, was this money would go back into the community,
Yeah.
and it will move into the community and make them better off.
Mm-hmm.
Improve their lives.
Mm.
Because Mr. A will buy from Mr. B, Mr.
Yeah.
B will also buy back from Mr.
Mm-hmm.
A, and
Yeah.
then the money circulates, and they'll be able to have a better, you
Yeah.
know,
Amazing.
lifestyle at the end of the day. So that's always been my drive in everything I do. Really, is to make
Wow.
sure the community benefits most of all. Mm.
Oh my goodness. I have a few projects going on, and they are, in my way, going to impact my local area where I am at the moment. So I just
Okay.
love what you're saying resonates completely with my experience, because really people are more, you tend to, you talk about loyalty earlier on. This even contributes to loyalty, that sense of
Mm.
ownership, because it's
Yes.
something local, and it's something they know that they can encourage to either increase in its impact or decrease, depending on the kind of contributions they give. So fantastic answer, fantastic answer. Ikenna, can you share with us what, I know you've talked about the challenges in terms of workmanship and getting people to partner with you on this project, but this is agriculture. Um, you are also, the work is exposed to natural elements. You've got pests, you've got
Mhm.
the weather to contend with.
Mm.
Can you share with us the impact, if any, this has had,
Mm.
and how you prepared to avoid the impacts on this work?
Okay, yes, you're quite right. We've had quite a few issues with those areas. So, for example, the weather.
Hmm.
So now there was a certain period in October when it was really raining heavily. So the raining season period.
Hmm.
And what we were experiencing at that time was that when it rains, the ripples of the water that splashes on the floor,
Yeah.
yeah, was splashing on the pepper pods. Yeah. So when we harvested them, there was a lot of sand on them.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, sand and all those things, and we can't wash them because when you wash them, it reduces the lifespan of the pepper itself.
Don't know that. Yeah.
Yeah, because we actually sell them fresh.
Hmm.
So we now had to start using cloth to clean off
Hmm.
the stuff on it,
Yeah.
So basically, what we did to be able to prevent that is we went on an agricultural process known as mulching.
Please
Yeah.
explain.
So
I have no idea.
yeah. So mulching is when you use like dead leaves or debris or wood chip
Yeah.
to cover the surface of the ground,
Hmm.
right? So
Hmm.
that the water
You'll
that
be
comes,
trapped there. Yeah. Yeah.
yes, will be soaked there and retained. And when it splashes, it doesn't come up and splash the pods. So everything stays clean and nice and increases the drainage ability of the soil by
Hmm.
mulching. You're like covering. It's like wearing a raincoat when you're going in the rain.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be completely dry.
Mhm.
Yeah, but then you're not going to be
Yeah.
soaked.
Mhm.
Yeah, so we applied that method as well. And then in terms of pests,
Hmm.
so again, we are farming organically. So we're trying our best to make sure we are not using harmful chemicals to grow
Yeah.
our Scotch bonnets at the time.
Mhm.
So I researched into methods of growing and controlling pests organically, and there was one that I found which had to do with traps, right? Because the major pest for hot pepper
Hmm.
is called the fruit fly,
Yes.
right? Yeah. So
Yeah, I remember that.
yeah, the fruit fly. So the fruit flies. The funny thing about the fruit flies is it comes during flowering.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Yes. Yes.
yeah
Mm-hmm.
when the peppers are flowering, it will
Okay.
now come and lay its eggs inside the flower. So when the flower now becomes the pod, the larva
Yeah.
begins to, germinate or generate itself inside the pepper itself. and feeding on the pepper to stay alive before it then goes off. So what we did was I contacted a company in Kenya that produces fruit fly traps. So these traps, they look like a box. So what they do is that they put the venom or the scent of the female fruit fly in this box. Yeah. So what happens is when the fruit flies come to your farm, they are attracted by this scent and they all go into the box to go and look for that female and they are trapped inside. You understand? So that way we were able to use to control
really nice
the pest. Yeah, instead of having to spray chemicals on it.
Again, this still comes back to networking because you basically used another company to meet a need at that point in time, but you had to do research, contact. So a lot of soft skills here that people can really learn from. Okay, you've had to because I know also about scaling becomes a thing in farming. Start small portion and then increasing that. So are you considering scaling, or have you done any scaling, and how easy was that to do?
Well, in terms of scaling, I think for our market, as in what we do, which is farming for export, we are more keen on crop rotation, right? And instead of us creating more and more and more farms and building more farms, what I'm doing to scale is to engage the local community. So have what we call outgrowers. You know, so we get more people in the community to farm the produce that we need. You understand? So that way we give them the tools, the resources, the expertise for them to be able to grow the produce in the specification that we want. And then from there, we can buy from them as well. So we buy from them, add to what we have to increase the quantity. That way, everybody is partaking in the growth of the business.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's the method that we use for scaling.
This is totally off anything, but Ikenna, just personally, was there any point in time where you felt this project was too much to handle? I want you to be very honest. Did you feel a time when you said to yourself, should I continue or not? Because this sounds, I know it sounds really good when you're telling me you're the one on ground. You're the one who experiences the challenges and has to do that. So I'm just trying to get into your mindset and how you keep going on in spite of all that you...
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, there is certain times where things get a bit funny, especially when things are not going as you've planned for them to go.
Yeah.
The project was very capital intensive, very capital intensive. And, you know, raising the capital was something that was quite frustrating at the time. And then, as I said to you, we grow for export.
Yeah.
So growing for export, you would encounter certain hiccups. You know, your goods could be confiscated or impounded for one reason or the other. You know, and once
at the beginning stages when you're still trying to sort things out.
Yes. So that was a huge challenge. Like, I'll give you an example. When we started, there was an export company that we supplied over 2 tons of hot pepper, right? And for some reason, after we've supplied them, they messed up their logistics in terms of booking the flight that would take their produce to wherever they needed to take it, and there was a problem, and the peppers didn't go, and at the end of the day, the whole thing got spoiled. Yes. Now, till today, I speak to you, this guy's never paid us for that supply. Over 2 tons of pepper. You understand? So that was a challenge because that required labor, it required logistics, it required, you know, all those things to to get through to that. So those are the challenges you face. But at the end of the day, like every other thing in life, you just have to just take it as an experience.
Yep.
Yeah, and you're like, at least I've learned something, and next time I know how to go about it.
That's amazing.
And you just keep going. You keep going, because for you to stop because of a challenge is more like a failure to me than.
Ikenna, you should give a TED talk. Ikenna, you should. Honest, no. I'm sorry. I hear some things and I'm like, I would like this documented in a way that I can just go and get some encouragement, because this is a project that you've basically had some information on. It took a lot of willpower and faith and I'd even like to question you on how your faith in any way contributed towards this, because I know you're a believer. So I'd like to know how that contributed to that, if you want to share anyway.
Yeah, so basically, before I embarked on this project, I was going through a transformation of mindset recovery, a mindset resetting.
Yeah.
Trying to adapt my mindset to a positive feel, a positive approach, to a never give up approach.
Yeah.
And at that point, I was reading a lot of book of Hebrews. I was reading about faith.
Yeah.
I was reading about, believing in God and knowing that God is with you. And there was something that really struck me, that pushed me ahead, which was, faith without action is dead.
True.
So we as believers, we cannot justify ourselves as believers and say we have faith and yet refuse to take action. Where is the faith?
Where is the faith?
Doesn't work.
That's a good
faith without action is dead. So you have to take action, and you have to believe that that action is going to work out. As a matter of fact, the whole Bible for believers talks about creation. And we're being created in God's image and likeness. So we have the power that God has given to us to do whatever we want to do. Yeah. So we ourselves are creators as well.
True.
So once you have imagined something in your mind and you believe that you can do it and you take the step to do it, then why are you afraid?
Yeah.
If you say you have faith.
If you say you have faith.
So that is something that really, really drove me. And I keep telling everybody I come across today. But one thing I must say, which is very important, is that everyone is on their own individual journey. Not everybody has gotten to the point where probably you and I are in now. Because I would tell you, 10 years ago, I was not at that point.
Correct.
You understand? So nobody needs to beat themselves up if they are not taking the step they need to take now.
Yeah.
What I would say to them is continue to work your salvation through fear and trembling.
Yeah.
And you will get to that point where you begin to understand that, yes, it's time for me to move.
And I think the important point you already made earlier is the faith rather than fear. Because so many people, when they get to the point that you and I are at, it's fear that holds them back.
Yes.
With me, I'll share personally my fear before starting this podcast and getting into a number of businesses that I have in mind. My fear was even two fears: the fear of failure. But really, most importantly, this is the second one that is beginning to disappear: the fear of what people would say.
Exactly.
And I couldn't understand why that was so significant. Why would I be so worried of what someone else would say when they are not on the same journey that I am?
Exactly.
But I was so worried that they would whisper and talk among themselves. Okay, Chukwu is running a podcast. Why is he running a podcast? People don't run podcasts. Who does Chukwu think he is? That's very correct. Just having that faith and just doing it is important.
Yeah, most times we always think, and I think that's the big problem for a lot of us who were brought up in Nigeria. I don't know why, but we have this issue of what would people say? What would people think of me? What would people, what if? It doesn't matter. But again, it takes time to get to that
Yeah,
point where
it
you feel
does.
completely free. I mean, many years ago, I was not engaging social media at all.
Mm.
I didn't like the fact of putting myself out there in, for everybody to scrutinize me or
Yeah.
whatever it is. But I've come to a point where I've realized that actually our friendship groups are changing now. We have no time to see each other. We are so
Correct.
busy in different parts of the world.
Correct.
Where we can actually develop friendship now is through social media.
Mm-hmm.
It's true, in on the internet.
Yeah.
I have more friends online
Mm.
than I have face to face, and I see
Yeah.
most of the time. To
Yeah.
tell you that my clearing agent, the guy that works for Organic Veggie Vibes and clears our goods, I have never met him personally
Wow.
before. I have never seen him.
Wow.
We talk, we send messages, and we speak. That's it.
Wow.
And so far he's doing what he's doing, and I'm doing what I'm doing. Then we're fine.
Correct.
You get what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but today I would say he's a friend and even a family member. Because of the relationship we've created with what we are doing.
It's so interesting you're saying this. I'm so excited. I'm not even part of the project. Jesus would say, and I'm sorry, I have to bring this up right now, but Jesus would say, they asked him once, they said, your brother and mothers are here to find you and look for you. In scripture, I can't remember the actual scripture. His response? He said, my brother and mother are those that hear my word and do them. It was as though he was extending his family beyond blood. And that's why when you're saying this, I completely understand. And you talking about people and networking, the same thing happened to me in terms of Facebook. When I was starting my podcast, I asked myself, I said, there's a point in time when I want to be interviewing the Obamas and the Badenochs of the society. But come to think of it, whilst I'm aiming for that, I want to be in talking to people that I know, that are within my network. And then I started talking to friends, just people that I know, how are you doing? And that's how I started. And before I knew it, because that was a building block, I now started thinking about friends of mine who are into diverse things that I would love to be. And that's how you came about. So if I didn't from nowhere just say, I'm going to talk to Ikenna about Organic Veggie Vibes. No, I said I was going to talk to all my Facebook friends, all my family members, find a way of getting them on my show. And then from there, I now started coming across things I had totally forgotten. And that was how I got connected back to you and the project that you are on. So I don't see it as coincidental. When the Lord moves you or when you head towards something, go ahead. You don't necessarily have to see where it is going. But the fact that you have a little fruit or something in your spirit, just go with it.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with you. Yeah. We just have to, keep reaching out. I mean, I started a Facebook page recently for Organic Veggie Vibes, trying to get people to come and know what we're doing. My main passion is to teach others what I know, what I've learned, because I feel that if I can do it, anyone out there can do it. It's about understanding what you need to do. Farming is not that much of a big deal. It's like any other project. When you project manage anything, and you don't need certifications to project manage. We project manage on our everyday life.
Yep.
You understand? People think that, I need to go and get certificates. No, you can do this. You understand? It's about taking the first step and believing in what you want to do. Like
I'm going to share your network so that people
I keep going back. I keep going back to Nigeria. Yeah, because I have relatives, I have friends, I have people in Nigeria who are financially worse off now and don't know where to turn to.
Yeah.
And I'm saying to them, I said, even with one plot of land, you can achieve something.
Yep.
And you don't have to buy the land outright. You can lease. You can lease or rent it for certain times, and you can do something with it rather than just sit down and feel miserable.
To happen.
Yeah, you can start. You can start. And the beauty about Nigeria is that we don't really need to export much. All our produce can be consumed locally. The population is amazingly high. So you get your local produce to the local markets, and it gets done
True.
straight away.
Very, very true. Um,
Mm.
so tell me a bit about because you talked about crop rotation. Can you share a bit about how you pick what crops for a particular season? Is it
Mm.
based on history, what's usually grown around that time, or have you decided to pick a few based on your interest?
So as I said to you, we farm for export.
Yeah.
So basically, we pick what we grow
Hmm.
for the export market and the export demand,
Okay.
right?
Yes.
So, for example, seasons for hot pepper is between, say, August to January.
Okay.
That's where you have the peak season.
Hmm.
And then we are very aware that from the end of February, so from the 1st of February, we normally start a new project.
Okay.
Like, last year, we started a garden egg farm, okay, where we're
Oh,
growing garden
wow,
eggs.
you're making me smile too much. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, the white garden eggs. So we have a peak period from August to January.
Hmm.
Now, after January, you have the religious time where the Muslims are fasting,
Okay.
and then you have the Christians doing Lent as well.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Mm-hmm.
this period sees a significant drop in demand for food and food product because people are
Okay.
not eating,
Yeah.
breakfast, lunch, and that kind of thing. So
Mm.
that's the quiet time. That's the quiet time.
Okay.
So during this quiet time, we focus on growing, on farming, on producing new products, right? And
Right.
then we target what the export market wants. So
Mm.
sometimes we notice, like right now, there's a massive rise in demand for avocado, right? Especially hash avocado.
Yeah.
And there's also a massive rise in demand for coffee. Coffee at the moment
Yeah.
is highly demanded
Yeah.
for.
I've seen some of your posts on that recently.
Yes,
Yep.
exactly.
Mm.
So farmers that are looking at that at the moment are probably the ones that are going to cash in
Passion on
when
that.
the harvest starts.
Mm.
But again, what to grow is usually better to find out from the buyers what they want rather than just go by what you want or what you
Mm.
feel you should grow. That way you get it right.
Mm.
Okay, yeah. So that's how you rotate your crop. That's how we rotate our crop based on what the demand is saying.
Mm.
Because farming for subsistent level is
Yeah.
different from farming for business.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm trying to introduce a situation of farming for business.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
understand? Meeting the business needs.
Mm.
Yeah, so you can rotate based on business needs.
Yes. Yes.
Mm.
Thank you for that. That's an excellent answer. So what tell me about because I've seen a number of your posts talking about the quality of the produce you have and the sustainability about it. Tell me about the message of Organic Veggie Vibes in terms of sustainability and quality.
Right. So in terms of sustainability is based on the way we grow our produce.
Mm.
So for example, we are not using inorganic fertilizer. And inorganic fertilizers, they are harmful to the soil.
Mm.
You know,
Mm.
they create a situation that prevents the soil to be aerated, and also they can affect the natural water table because when it rains and the water flows, it takes
Yep.
this chemical and
Yep.
deposits it in our streams and
Yep.
all the other things,
Mm-hmm.
which
Mm-hmm.
can end up creating poison
Yep.
for the ecosystem that
So,
exists,
yep.
in that area. So that's why we're trying to farm in a sustainable way that sustains
The
the whole
environment.
ecosystem,
Yep.
the
Yep.
environment,
Yep.
and everything that we are doing.
Okay.
So that's the method in terms
Quality.
of quality.
Mm.
Exactly. So first of all, it has to be natural. So this word organic, is a word that I was using quite a lot to describe anything that has not been altered, artificially.
Mm.
For example, if I wake up in the morning, straight up from bed,
Mm.
and I take a picture of myself, I would describe myself as looking organic.
I like that.
You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, so the whole process of farming organic is from the seeds we use,
Mm.
yeah, to begin with. That's very, very important.
Yeah.
So there's this phenomenon going on now in Africa where the West are trying to force African farmers to use genetically modified seeds
Yeah.
to grow produce. But African farmers are rebelling and insisting on using their own local variety seeds
Interesting.
to grow their produce.
Hmm.
So we are still insisting on using that. So what we are doing is we are rotating, we are recycling our seeds. So from our harvest, we would also make seeds for the next one. We would also make seeds for other outgrowers that are part of us, to make sure that the quality is exactly what we want it to be, which is organic. Another thing that we are using is we're using what I said to you earlier, open field farming. A lot of vegetables are produced in greenhouses. Yeah, some vegetables are even produced with artificial light.
Yep.
You understand?
Especially in areas where the weather is not suitable for it.
Exactly. So we are using open farming where we are taking our energy directly from the source, which is the sunlight, which actually affects the quality of our produce.
Correct.
So in the UK, for example, we have hot pepper coming from the Netherlands. We have hot pepper coming from Spain. We have hot pepper coming from Italy, right?
But those areas are not natural areas for hot pepper.
Yes, they are not natural areas for hot pepper. So, but what we have found is the demand for Ugandan hot pepper has continued to increase year after year.
Good.
Because people are beginning to notice the difference.
And this is why it brings me to the point I observed earlier when coming over to the UK. You buy certain food products, you taste them, and although it's similar, you would be able to say, but this is not the way Nigerian products would taste. It's because even though they are, if you put like and like, you find out that they are basically the same thing, but the conditions under which they were grown is different.
It's different.
So
yes.
I can easily relate to what you're saying on that level.
Absolutely. So based on the quality, we always make sure that it's natural. It's natural. We are not altering the genetics of the plant.
Yeah.
And we are not altering the production process of the plant, because all those things affect the taste of the plant of the produce at the end of the day.
Wow. Ikenna, thank you. Honestly, you're giving me some really good insights into what you're doing and how wonderful it is. Can you tell me your thoughts on agriculture in Uganda right now, how things are going, and how, if there are any potential changes that are going to happen, and your preparations towards that? So an example would be, for some people in certain businesses, elections take place, it changes the dynamic of things. For other people, prices of things take place, it changes, they just have to be prepared. But as the CEO of an agricultural based company, what are the environmental factors that are deciding what changes that you may need to be taking place potentially?
Okay, so let me start with agriculture in Uganda in general. So part of the reason why I chose Uganda as well, apart from my affiliation with the country, is because over time in history, I found out that Uganda is very, very, very skilled in agriculture, right? Their major source of revenue was agriculture, and it's still agriculture for many years. They are very good at it, So that actually drove me into knowing that I'm going to get the best help and best expertise in this area. That's one. Number two, the government supports agriculture so much. is an industry that is highly supported by the government more than any other industry. As you know, their president is also a farmer.
Wow, I didn't know.
Yes.
Thanks for
Yes,
that.
he is a cattle farmer. He has ranches and thousands of cattle.
So he
And
understands because of that.
yes,
He
he
gets it.
understands farming. And then the people in general, what I've noticed is that almost everyone has a garden at the back of their house or a farm or something. So in terms of food scarcity, it's non-existent in Uganda. I'm
Wow.
from Nigeria. I know what food does to people in Lagos and all
Yes.
the rest. But
Yeah.
in that country, everybody can eat.
Wow.
Nobody's begging for food because at the back of their houses, everybody has something they
Has
can go and
something.
pluck out
Yeah.
on the ground, cook cassava or whatever and eat. So in terms of agriculture as a country, they are very vast and very knowledgeable and, very, very good at it. Now, looking at the factors that can affect agriculture in the future in Uganda, well, I can really start with the positive factors. So, one of the positive factors is the value addition proposition process that the president is continuing to push for people to implement. Yeah, to add value to your agricultural produce before it leaves the country. And he has been able to do that with cotton, right? Yes, at some point he banned the importation of cotton into Uganda because Uganda produces cotton.
Yeah.
So he said to the buyers to come and open a cotton manufacturing plant in Uganda so that the cotton in Uganda is processed in Uganda and the end product is what is exported.
Is what is exported. Nice.
In Uganda. So value addition is a very, very, very big thing that is beginning to pave the way now for most farmers in Uganda. And then the major problem I think local Ugandans have is not necessarily the expertise, but the capital to embark into commercial farming.
Yeah.
As I said earlier, farming involves some capital.
Yep.
So these people sometimes don't have that capital. And the banks are not very good at lending money and giving you money for business.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So they are always at the mercy of foreign investors that come to invest. In terms of political change, I don't really see that being the case because the country has been really, really engaging in agriculture for many years. However, however, they have discovered oil in Uganda.
Oh,
yes, oil has been discovered in Uganda, and they're in the process of drilling and sending this oil. So my prayer is they don't end up like other oil, where they shift all their energy to oil and forget agriculture.
Yeah.
So, but time will tell. When we get to that point, we shall cross
the bridge.
Yeah.
Wow. Organic veggies, 10 years from now. Tell us what the prediction is, what the forecast is. What do you think?
Yeah, so Organic Veggie Vibes, 10 years from now, I want to be a household brand where people feel confident, to buy their food and their produce. And I'm also working on the technology that gives me the ability through a sticker barcode for people to be able to trace the journey of the produce.
I love that.
You understand?
That.
So Organic Veggie Vibe family, as I said, my customers are not customers, they are family. So Organic Veggie Vibe family would be able to trace how their food is being produced, how it's being grown, when it left the country to get to the UK, how long it has spent. They would also be able to engage with the workers on the farm and see how they are doing. So there's always going to be innovation, variety, engagement. That's why I chose the name Organic Veggie Vibes, because of the vibration and the buzz that I want to create with this new phenomenon. So in 10 years' time, it will be a household name. You can see in my logo, I have a carrot with some dark glasses. Again, that for me is to show how fun filled we are.
Yes.
Yeah. So we'll be dancing vegetables, we'll be fun vegetables,
I
and
love that.
people, especially kids, will
Oh,
begin to enjoy
lovely.
to eat vegetables. At the same time, be able to help. I want to be able to help as many people who want to do what I have done, because the way I've set up what I have done, it's like a copy and paste, situation.
Yeah.
So somebody can just copy what I've
And
done and
lift it.
paste it, yeah, anywhere, and I guarantee it will work,
Wow.
100%.
Wow. Ikenna, amazing. Thank you very much for all that you've shared so far. Can you please share with us how we can contact you, especially regarding some of those plans you have for training and inspiring or motivating people in the next generation?
Yeah, so at the moment, I have a Facebook page, which is called Organic Veggie Vibes. You can contact me on that.
Yes.
I also have a personal Facebook page with my name, Ikenna Unachukwu, on it.
Yeah.
It has all my contact details there. Already, I have quite a few people contacting me. I was in a meeting yesterday with two pastors who contacted me and wanted to get my views on a project that they wanted to do as well.
Yeah.
So I'm always happy to help anyone. You can contact me via email, text message, WhatsApp message, or anything like that.
Yeah.
Get my contact from Facebook or any other platform. You can also reach me on LinkedIn.
Okay.
Right? Yeah, I'm very, very active on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Again, my name, Ikenna Unachukwu.
Yes.
Yes, on LinkedIn.
No.
Meet me Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp, LinkedIn,
TikTok as well.
even TikTok as well. Again, I use my name. Yeah, so you can reach out, and yeah, I'm happy to help anyone.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
So we've come to the very end of this. I'm going to ask you to give a final word before we close. But one thing I always do before then is the segment where you share art, because this is an
okay.
art. So,
all right, okay.
Were you able to make any art, Ikenna?
No, as a matter of fact, I didn't realize the art aspect of the segment. If not, I would have made some art. Next time, I would definitely create something.
Yes, and I'm going to
bring about.
Have you here. I hope you'll be available when your book is out. I want to have you here to discuss the book and all the process of writing it. But
absolutely,
I made you some art. And this is what I made.
Wow, so that is amazing.
Let me explain what this is. So these are and these are peppers. So
yes.
Some organic peppers for you. So I made some red peppers and some yellow peppers as well.
Yes.
What Organic Veggie Vibes started with. That was the time I was getting.
Excellent. That's excellent. That's brilliant. Thank you. I appreciate that. Now you have to mail that over to me so I can hang it somewhere on my wall.
Send it to you.
Yeah, fantastic.
So Ikenna, we've come to the end of this now. Please, do you have any final words for the audience?
Yes, actually. What I'm going to say to everyone listening right now is what I'm trying to put out there, which is just a simple word. Nothing is impossible once you believe, right? So having that idea in your head that nothing is impossible and believing that it is not impossible will drive you to take that step. And every time you take that step, when things seem as if they're not working out or things seem as if they're not moving forward, remember that phrase, nothing is impossible, right? And actually, nothing is impossible. Just believe in yourself, believe in your faith, believe, and you will see it happen.
Oh, wow.
So that's what I'm going to drop out. And you're going to keep seeing this come up, every time I do anything, because that's what has been able to drive me.
Yeah.
Because the reason why we become afraid is because we don't have the tools or the solution to a problem, and it creates fear. But when you are equipped to solve a problem, then the fear goes away.
Goes, yeah.
Yeah. And solution is the most important thing. Yeah. Nothing is impossible. Everything can be created. Everything can be solved. Everything can be resolved. Don't ever allow yourself to think otherwise. It's always a way.
Yeah.
It's always a solution.
Wow.
Yeah.
Ikenna, I don't know how to express my gratitude about this. You've done amazing. Your testimony is evident for everybody to see. All I can say is thanks for coming on my show. I cannot wait to hear the many.
Thank you for having me as well.
The leaps and bounds that Organic Veggie Vibes is going to make. Who knows? We might actually get to a point where we start ordering specifically family by family Organic Veggie Vibes online.
Yeah, hopefully that's the dream. That's where we want to get to, you know. And I'm going to get you a personal signed copy of my book to you as soon as it's out.
Thanks so much.
Signed by myself. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. It's been really fun.
Yes.
And you know, for you, just keep doing, keep going, keep doing it. You know, one step at a time. Celebrate the small successes. You know, leave those big ones you're thinking of now. Concentrate on the small successes you're doing. The family and friend approach is fantastic. Keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it. And you know, before you know what is happening, boom, you'll be out there. Yeah, but know that for every podcast you do, it's a success to be celebrated.
Thank you.
And celebrate it, yes.
Oh, thank
celebrate
you so much, brother. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Help me to appreciate Ikenna once more. And I'll see you guys next week. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Thank you.